What's going on? I'm Spencer Tillis.
I'm Kaylina Speakman.
I'm Trayvon Miles.
And this is the Delmarva Sports Insider. Coming up in just a bit in today's episode. First place in the Bayside North was on the line as St. Michael's took on Colonel Richardson. And 7 innings, it wasn't enough to decide this one. Wait till you see how it ended.
And Sussex Central, fresh off a huge win, they were looking to keep that momentum going as they hosted Cape Henlopen.
And Indian River girls, undefeated thus far. They put that streak on the line this week up against Milford. Welcome, everybody, to the show you know and love, DSI. Nothing different this week from the last. We got a jam-packed show for you, all beginning right here in Salisbury. We'll start with Parkside, who's been struggling a little bit. They were taking on undefeated Stephen Decatur. Now, Parkside led this game 2-0 after 2. Decatur would get swinging in the third. Lane Dillon with a screamer to left center. That would score Ryan Duncan. Couple batters later, still in the third, Tristan McDonough sends a shot to center. Dillon and Jake Shockley coming on in to score. They give Decatur their first lead of the game. Rams fighting back in the fourth. Check this out. Tolan Harris strikes out. Ball is dropped. Harris is hit with the throw. Chris Wallace was on second, takes third, and he is in with an errant throw. Wallace comes in. Rams take the lead, but that would be all. Zach Adams for the love of elevation. Adams jacks one over the fence and left. Decatur comes out with the win, a final of 12-5. Now, you got to credit Decatur for the game they played. Their bats woke up after they saw a little bit of Sean Fisher in those couple innings. But what is going on with Parkside, man? Obviously, they're not as talented as they were last year, but still loaded with talent all over that roster. Right now, the arms just aren't there all the way. A rough week for them, starting with Monday when Bennett was able to come back on them all the way now to losing to Decatur, losing the lead they had against Decatur.
You know, they have a lot of good pieces, but they just aren't playing well together.
Yeah.
And they lost a lot of the leadership they had last year with those seniors. Some of their best players this year are, juniors or sophomores. And I think that's starting to show that they don't have that one guy that's kind of rallying them right now. And they need that. And I think it'll come towards the end of the year. They're not going to be a team you're going to want to see come playoff time probably.
Yeah,
but
course,
right now, if you're going to get them,
it
looks to be right now. Well, we had a huge baseball matchup up in the Bayside North as not just 2 of the top teams of the conference, but 2 of the top 1A teams in the entire state.
Right.
St. Michael's playing host to Colonel Richardson with first place in conference on the line. And Matt Grogan would get the start for the Saints, and my man was dealing. Picks up one of his 10 strikeouts on the afternoon. 10 strikeouts against this Colonel's lineup. That into the 5th, and we would head to the 6th. There's Jake Zebron. Well, he was matching him pitch for the Colonels. Gets a strikeout of his own, and we'd be scoreless after 7 and head to extras. There in the 8th, CR gets something started. Jacob Hicks hits a little slow roller to first. Good hustle up the line as he beats out the throw, and he gets it in for a single. A couple of batters later, and Zebron helping out his own cause, rips this thing to right. That'll bring in a run as it's going to be Hicks that turns the corner. All of a sudden, the Colonels take a 1-0 lead. CR not done doing damage just yet. Garrett Niepert, he's up to bat, and with 2 on, he blasts this thing to center, the biggest hit of the day right there. 2 more runs score, 3-0 road team. It looks like the game's done, but the Saints not giving in just yet. Trent Saunders, he's going to hit this one to left. That got runners on the corners, and it would also end Zebron's day in the process. CR goes to the lefty, Jared Bennett. After he gets a strikeout, Nathan Howell rips this one to left. That brings in a run, cuts the deficit to 2 with the winning run at the plate, but Bennett just too tough. The lefty gets
tough,
3
man.
strikeouts to seal the deal. That is a senior right there, a huge win for Colonel Richardson. They take it 3-1 the final in 8 innings, and I tell you what, that was an absolute pleasure of a game to watch. They're 2 of the top teams, like I said. Colonel now is definitely being one of those teams that I think is going to have an opportunity to compete for a state title. The thing that I didn't know about this team coming in, that pitching staff has a couple young arms on there. They got a couple lefties. Zebron really impressed me. And they couple that with, Niepert obviously behind the plate. You got Jared Bennett, who's
they're good.
He's one of the best players.
They're good.
Jared Bennett's rated #1 lefty in the entire state for pitching, and he's also really known as a hitter. That's what he's going to college for. The other half of it is St. Michael's is no joke. They are right there with them, too. If you take them to extras, if they get the opportunity, if they can squeak one out in playoffs, I don't think if Colonels doesn't win the state playoffs, I think the next best team in the 1A right now is St. Michael's.
I'm curious to see where both these teams are going to end up coming in. It's going to be a really interesting matchup right here. And then the undefeated Dover Senators, they were hosting Smyrna on Tuesday night, and what a game this one ended up being, just straight toward the end. Possibly a game-changing moment right here. Jordan Hutchins tries to steal home. He would get called out. The bases were loaded. Fans and players, they protested like crazy on this one. Let's take another look, and it is a little tough to tell. The call would, though, go in favor of the Eagles, possibly changing the outcome of this game. the inning would have been over. And Smyrna now up to bat. Jeremy Caro hits a line drive down the left field line. Sean Doolin would try to score a little payback here as he would be gunned down at home, but that doesn't matter because Smyrna still got things going later on. Dolan this time hits it to center. Zach Slock would come ahead and score right here, pushes their lead to 2. Then Nolan Henderson would score off a wild pitch, increasing their lead to 3. And after a walk, brought in a run right here, Samaj Kelly. He's going to line this one to second. Chris Webb would come around and score right here to make it a one-run game. But that's as close as they got because John Barkley gets the strikeout there, and the Eagles get the big one, 3-2, the final. And Dover, I mean, they lost their first game against Smyrna, but that was a tough game. The bases were loaded. The guy got called out at home, and it just makes me wonder if he didn't get called out at home, how different this game could have gone. More runners could have advanced and scored more runners. They could have ended up winning, or it still could have been the same outcome. So I just don't really look at this loss as being a huge loss, and I still think that they're going to have a lot of momentum, and it's not going to really hurt them too much. They're going to shake it off and come back.
I think it is a tough year to be a good team in that Open North right now because Smyrna's, top 5 in the state right now rated. Dover's right there as well. Cape's not quite in there, but Cape can beat anybody in the state. I mean, they made the tremendous run all the way to state championship last year. And Sussex Tech, you can't really sleep on them. And also Sussex Central's pretty good. I mean, there is a loaded amount of talent in the conference.
So much talent
To
there.
a point, hey, Dover got by Smyrna in basketball season, right? At the buzzer. There's a little payback there. That's all it is. That's all it is karma, all right? Well, we had an interesting matchup way back on Monday afternoon. 2 mid-level teams going at it. Washington hosting Snow Hill. And, well, the Eagles came out pretty strong in this one. Tyler Raber, RBI single to give Snow Hill an early lead. Started a little erratic for Washington, but of course the DSI legend Julius White, he would settle down some, gets the strike out there. He had a couple strikeouts on the day. Eagles back up at the dish. This time it's Josh Coleman. He's going to send one over to deep left, over the left fielder's head, onto the wall. RBI double for Coleman to open up this lead. Then it would be the Eagles. They would pour it on. Ryan Donaway down the line. Another run scores. All Hilltop in this one. Snow Hill wins it 10-0 the final.
And how about Bennett? Well, the Clippers playing some good baseball lately. They were taking on Y-High at home, and here in the third when Hunter White sends this one deep to center. A nice catch out there by Justin Toll, kind of navigating the winds, but Cade Rousseau is going to score on the play. 4th inning now, and Tyler Shockley rips this one back up the gut. 2 more runs come in as Bennett was starting to feel themselves a little bit, and they were not done just yet. Joey Geary, another DSI legend, pokes this one for a little floater single into right field right there. 2 more runs come in. They're sitting at 9 on the day. They're going to have a walk-off opportunity here in the 5th with the bases loaded, and Grayson Winterbottom with the last name like that, how can you not get the job done? Bennett wins 10-0 the final.
So many DSI legends in this one, and Woodbridge was at home taking on Cesar Rodney. The Riders came to play in this one as Carlton Vogt gets the strikeout there to go ahead and get things started for the Riders. And, well, they brought their bats as well. Quentin Ivey up to bat. He rips that one deep to right. It would go ahead and be a double on that play, but he wouldn't be there for long because Matt Donovan's up to bat next. He would hit this one deep to center. Ivy would score, and so would Kyle Cumgees. And their lead is now at 8. And the Blue Raiders, they really need a run to extend this game. And they'd start a little bit of a rally here as Jalen McGee comes up with a single right here to get a runner in scoring position. But Vogt shuts the door with another K. The Riders blink them 10-0 the final.
Hey, shout out to my main man Ben on those highlights right there.
Look at that, man. Big Ben. He's in there waving right now. A bunch of DSI legends all over the place. All right, we're going to take our first commercial break right now. After the break, Y-High Lacrosse searching for anything, and I mean anything, against a dominant Kent Island team coming up next.
I'm Joey Gear. I play second base for Bennett Baseball, and you're watching Dumb Over Sports Insider. Mocha, 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 mocha.